The ship came down from the sky like a burning star. It was black and gold, bigger than any building on Earth. The people of Nevada looked up and saw something that blocked out the sun itself. The ship was 3 kilometers long, covered in scales like a giant dragon made of metal. Commander Lisa Harper stood on the bridge of the space station called Unity. She watched the ship through the big windows. Her hands were shaking, but she did not let anyone see. She had been in space for 15 years. She had seen many things, but she had never seen anything like this. "Commander, all our channels are picking up the same message," said Kyle Bennett. He was young, only 25 years old, and his voice was full of fear. "They want to talk to our leaders. They are not being nice about it." Lisa knew about the Draconari. Everyone in the space program knew about them. They were one of the oldest races in the galaxy. They had been conquering planets for 10,000 years. Their bodies were covered in scales. They stood 3 meters tall. They breathed fire when they were angry. And their leader, the Dragon Queen Veltera, was said to be over 400 years old. Earth had only learned to travel faster than light 30 years ago. Compared to the Draconari, humans were like babies who had just learned to walk. "Send a message to Geneva," Lisa said. Her voice was calm, even though her heart was beating fast. "Tell them the Draconari have arrived." The next 12 hours were the longest of Lisa's life. She watched from the station as the giant ship just floated there above the desert. It did not attack. It did not move. It just waited. That waiting was somehow worse than if it had started shooting. Then the news came. The Dragon Queen herself was going to the United Nations building in Geneva. She wanted to speak to the leaders of Earth. Lisa watched the broadcast on every screen in the station. The Dragon Queen walked into the Great Hall like she owned it. And in a way, Lisa thought she probably could own it if she wanted to. Veltera was the most frightening thing Lisa had ever seen. She was almost 3 meters tall. Her scales shifted colors as she moved, going from deep red to shining copper. Her eyes were like pools of melted gold. When she spoke, the translation machines turned her words into English, but even the machines could not hide how powerful her voice was. "Your kind has done something bad to me," the Dragon Queen said. Every person in the room went silent. 3 cycles ago, your ship called the Wanderer stopped at a place called Relay Station Keth-4. Someone from that ship went into my private rooms. Someone touched my armor. Lisa felt her blood go cold. The Wanderer was a small ship. It had only 12 crew members. It was supposed to be a simple mission to explore and come back home. Secretary General Patricia Lane stood up slowly. She was a brave woman. She had dealt with many hard situations. But even she looked scared now. "Your Majesty," Patricia said carefully, "if anyone from Earth did something wrong, I am very sorry. We did not mean to cause offense. We can pay you back somehow. We can give you something valuable." "Oh." The Dragon Queen laughed. It was not a nice laugh. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "You do not understand," Veltera said. "The armor of a Draconari ruler is sacred. It holds the spirits of our ancestors. To touch it without permission is the worst crime possible. The punishment is the destruction of the whole world that the criminal comes from." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. "I want the one who did this," the Dragon Queen continued. "You have 48 hours to bring them to me. If you do not, my fleet will turn your planet into dust." She turned around and walked out. Her warriors followed her like shadows made of metal and fire. Lisa got the call 1 hour later. Because she had approved the Wanderer mission, she had to come to an emergency meeting. The 12 crew members were already being brought in for questions. But Lisa could hear what some of the government people were already talking about. They were discussing which of the 12 people should be given to the Dragon Queen to save everyone else. The thought made Lisa feel sick. She took a shuttle down to Earth and went to the meeting place. It was a big gray building outside of Washington. There were soldiers everywhere. The mood was dark and heavy, like the air before a storm. "The Dragonari fleet has moved into attack position," General Marcus Shaw said. He was an old soldier with gray hair and hard eyes. "We count 100 ships. Each one could destroy a city by itself. We have no way to fight them. Then, we need to find the person who touched the armor," said another man in a suit. "One life for 8 billion. The math is simple." "Simple?" Patricia Lane's voice was sharp. "We are talking about killing an innocent person. Maybe they did not even know what they were doing wrong. Does it matter? The Dragon Queen does not care about our reasons. She wants blood." Lisa listened to them argue. She thought about the 12 people on the Wanderer. Captain Daniel Perry, who had been her friend for many years. Michelle Torres, the pilot who had 3 children waiting for her at home. Gregory Cole, the young engineer who was only 26 and had his whole life ahead of him. The scientists, Dr. Amy Sullivan, Dr. Kevin O'Brien, Dr. Natalie Warren. The rest of the crew who fix things and help keep everyone healthy. 12 lives. 12 families. 12 stories that might end in the next 48 hours. "We need to talk to them first," Lisa said. Everyone looked at her. "Before we do anything else, we need to know what really happened on station." General Shaw nodded slowly. "Fine, but the clock is ticking, Commander. We do not have much time." Lisa walked to the room where the crew was being held. Through the one-way glass, she could see their faces. They looked tired. They looked scared. But there was something else in their eyes, too. Something she could not name yet. She did not know it then. But the next 2 days would change everything. Not just for Earth. Not just for the Dragonari. But for the whole galaxy. The Dragon Queen wanted blood. But she was about to learn that humans were not like other species. They did not give up their own people easily. And sometimes, the smallest creatures in the universe had the biggest hearts. The countdown had begun. 48 hours. 2 days to save a world, or to lose everything. The crew of the Wanderer sat in a cold gray room with no windows. There were 12 of them, and they all looked at the floor. None of them would look at each other. None of them would speak. Lisa Harper stood on the other side of the glass and watched them. She had known some of these people for years. Captain Daniel Perry had served with her on the Mars station back when they were both young and full of hope. Now his face looked old and tired, like he had aged 10 years in one night. "We have checked every camera on the station," said Cynthia Holmes. She was the intelligence officer in charge of finding out what happened. "We have looked at every sensor reading. The Wanderer was at Keth 4 for about 18 hours. Most of the crew stayed on the ship the whole time." "Most?" Lisa asked. Captain Perry and Dr. Warren went to the trading area to make deals for supplies. That was normal. That was allowed. And the Dragon Queen's rooms? Cynthia shook her head. "Those rooms are in the royal wing of the station. The crew had no permission to go there. But the Dragonari say their sensors found a human in that area. The problem is that the recording was damaged. They do not know which human it was." Lisa took a deep breath. Someone on that ship had done something that might kill every person on Earth. She needed to find out who. The questions began. One by one, the crew members were brought into a small room. One by one, they told their stories. One by one, they said they knew nothing. Gregory Cole was first. His hands were shaking so much that he could barely hold the cup of water they gave him. He was the youngest person on the crew. Just a kid really, with messy brown hair and scared eyes. "I never left the ship," he said. His voice was high and tight. "I was working on the engine the whole time. You can check the records. The engine was having problems, and I had to fix them. You did not go out at all? Not even for a few minutes? No, I swear. I did not even know where the royal wing was. Michelle Torres came next. She was a strong woman with dark hair pulled back in a tight braid. She had been flying ships for 15 years. Lisa knew her a little. She was a good person, a good mother. I went to the observation deck once, Michelle admitted. Just for an hour. I wanted to see the stars from a different place. Sometimes you need to see something beautiful when you spend so long in the black. She looked Lisa right in the eyes. But I never went anywhere near the Queen's rooms. I would not be that stupid. Dr. Amy Sullivan, Dr. Kevin O'Brien, Dr. Natalie Warren, the medics, the technicians. Each one came in. Each one told a similar story. They had stayed on the ship or gone only to the common areas. None of them had gone to the royal wing. None of them had touched the armor. But Lisa saw something in their faces. When one of them finished talking and left the room, they would look at the others. Just for a second. Just a quick glance. Like they were checking something. Like they shared a secret. They were hiding something. Lisa was sure of it. She asked to speak with Captain Perry alone. They brought him to a different room, away from the others. He sat down across from her, and for a long moment neither of them spoke. Daniel, Lisa said finally, you and I go back a long way. We survived the Mars Station incident together. We've seen some bad things, but this is the worst thing I have ever faced. If we do not find out who touched that armor, everyone dies. 8 billion people. Every child. Every family. Everyone. Perry said nothing. His face was like stone. I am asking you as a friend, Lisa continued. What really happened on that station? For a long time, there was only silence. Lisa could hear the clock on the wall. Tick. Tick. Each tick was one more second gone. One more second closer to the end dot. Then Perry let out a long breath. His shoulders dropped. He suddenly looked very old and very tired. We found something, he whispered. In the lower levels of the station. An escape pod from a Draconari slave ship. Lisa's heart went cold. A slave ship? The Draconari have slaves. Did you know that? Species they conquered. People they took from their homes and forced to work in their mines and their factories. Perry's voice was bitter. There were survivors in that pod. Children, Lisa. 17 children from a species I had never seen before. They had big eyes and thin arms, and they were so scared they could barely move. What did you do? What we had to do. Perry looked up at her, and now she could see the fire in his eyes. We could not leave them there. They had been locked in that pod for weeks. They were starving. They were dying. If the Draconari found them, they would have been sent back to the mines. So you took them? We smuggled them onto the Wanderer and hid them in the cargo bay. We dropped them off at a neutral station 2 days later, somewhere the Draconari could not find them. Perry leaned forward. We saved 17 lives, Lisa. 17 children who would have been worked to death. Lisa understood now, but she needed to hear the rest. The Dragon Queen's chambers, she said. That was part of it? Perry nodded slowly. We needed a distraction. Something to make the station security look somewhere else while we moved the children. Someone had to go to the royal wing and set off the sensors. Make them think there was a thief near the Queen's things. Who? Who went to the chambers? Perry shook his head. I am not telling you that. And neither will anyone else on my crew. Daniel, the Dragon Queen, wants one person. If you tell me who it was, maybe we can save the others. You do not understand. Perry's voice was hard now. We made a promise. All 12 of us. We agreed that if we ever got caught, we would take the blame together. No one person would be given up. Either we all live, or we all die. Lisa stared at him. They will kill all of you. Maybe. But better 12 than 8 billion. And if the Dragon Queen decides that is not enough? What if she destroys Earth anyway, just to make a point? Perry was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke again, and his voice was soft. We did the right thing, Lisa. Those children are alive because of us. They are somewhere safe, growing up, having a future. I will not say sorry for that. Not to you. Not to the Dragon Queen. Not to anyone. Lisa sat back in her chair. She did not know what to say. Part of her was proud of what they had done. Part of her was terrified of what would happen next. What were they like? She asked quietly. The children? Perry's face changed. For just a moment, the hard soldier was gone, and she saw something softer underneath. They were beautiful, he said. They had skin like silver and eyes like the night sky. When we first opened the pod, they were so scared they just huddled together and shook. But then Dr. Sullivan gave them some food, and they started to trust us a little bit. He smiled, but it was a sad smile. There was one little girl. She could not have been more than 5 or 6 years old. Before we dropped them off, she hugged my leg and said something in her language. Dr. Warren translated it for me later. What did she say? Thank you for being kind. Lisa felt tears in her eyes. She blinked them away quickly. The clock on the wall kept ticking. 36 hours left. 36 hours to save a world. And now Lisa knew the truth. The crew of the Wanderer were not criminals. They were heroes. But heroes did not always get happy endings. She stood up and walked to the door. Then she stopped and looked back at her old friend. I am going to try to fix this, she said. I do not know how yet, but I'm going to try. Perry nodded. I know you will. You always were the brave one. Lisa left the room. Her mind was racing. Somewhere out there was a Dragon Queen who wanted blood. And somewhere in her heart, Lisa was starting to form a plan. A crazy plan. A dangerous plan. But maybe the only plan that could save everyone. The news spread fast. Within hours, everyone in the government knew about the crew's promise. They knew that all 12 people on the Wanderer had agreed to take the blame together. They knew that none of them would give up the one person who actually touched the armor. Some people called them brave. Some people called them stupid. The Dragon Queen had asked for one person, not 12. She might accept one. She would never accept 0. We could make them talk, General Shaw said at the emergency meeting. His voice was cold and hard. There are ways to break people. Old ways. They would tell us eventually. Secretary General Patricia Lane looked at him with anger in her eyes. You want us to torture heroes? These people risked everything to save innocent children. If we hurt them, we become worse than the monsters we are fighting against. If we do nothing, 8 billion people die. I can live with hurting 12 if it saves everyone else. Can you? Can you really look at yourself in the mirror after that? The argument went on and on. Lisa Harper stood in the corner of the room and listened. She did not say anything. Her mind was somewhere else. She was thinking about the children the Wanderer had saved. 17 lives. 17 little beings who would have died in chains, if not for the crew's bravery. She was thinking about the 8 billion people on Earth. Families eating dinner together. Children playing in parks. Old people watching the sunset. All of them going about their normal lives, not knowing that a fleet of dragon ships waited in the sky, ready to burn everything to ash. She was thinking about the 12 crew members in their cells. Good people. Brave people. People who had done the right thing and were now waiting to die for it. And she was thinking about the Dragon Queen, a ruler who demanded blood for a crime that was not really a crime at all. A tyrant who kept slaves and called it justice. 20 hours left. The Dragonari fleet had moved closer. Through the telescopes, you could see the weapons on their ships. Starting to glow, Lisa made her choice. She walked out of the meeting without saying goodbye. She went through the long hallways of the building, past the guards and the security checks. She got into a car and drove to the Draconari Embassy. The embassy was a building that had appeared overnight in the middle of Washington. The Draconari had built it with their own technology, raising it from the ground like a giant metal flower. It was covered in golden scales and black spikes. It looked like a small castle made by dragons. Lisa walked up to the front door. 4 Draconari warriors blocked her path. They were huge, each one over 2.5 meters tall. Their armor was red and gold, and their eyes burned like fire. "I am Commander Lisa Harper of the United Earth Space Force," she said. Her voice was steady even though her knees were shaking. "I need to speak with the Dragon Queen." One of the warriors laughed. It was not a nice sound. "The Queen does not meet with small creatures like you. Tell her I have information about the one who touched her armor." The warriors looked at each other. Then one of them turned and went inside. He came back a few minutes later. "The Queen will see you, but if you waste her time, you will not leave this place alive." Lisa nodded. "I understand." They led her through the embassy. Inside, everything was gold and fire. Torches burned on the walls, even though the building had modern lights. Giant statues of dragons stood in every corner. The air was hot and smelled like smoke. The throne room was at the heart of the building. It was round and vast, with a ceiling so high that it disappeared into shadows. At the far end, on a throne made of black stone, sat the Dragon Queen. Velthora was even more frightening up close. Her scales caught the firelight and turned from red to copper to gold. Her claws were as long as knives. Her eyes watched Lisa with the same interest a cat might show to a mouse. "Commander Harper," the Dragon Queen said. Her voice filled the room like thunder. "I know who you are. You are the one who sent the Wanderer on its mission." "Yes, Your Majesty." "Have you come to give me the one who touched my armor?" Lisa took a deep breath. This was it. This was the moment that would decide everything. "I have come to confess," she said. "I was the one who touched your armor." The room went very quiet. Even the flames seemed to stop moving. "You?" Velthora leaned forward. Her golden eyes narrowed. "You were not on the Wanderer." "No, but I was on Keth 4. I arrived on a different ship, a diplomatic shuttle, 3 hours before the Wanderer left. I stayed for 12 hours before going back to Earth." Lisa kept her voice calm and steady. "Check your records. You will see that I was there during the time when the intrusion happened." It was a lie. Lisa had been on Earth the whole time. She had never been anywhere near Keth 4, but she knew that records could be changed. With enough work, the timeline could be made to fit. Why? The Dragon Queen's voice was curious now, not angry. Why would an important officer go into my private chambers? Curiosity. Foolishness. I wanted to see the famous armor of the Dragon Queen. I had heard stories about it for years. I did not understand what I was doing. I did not know the armor was sacred. Lisa bowed her head. It was a moment of stupidity, and for that I am sorry. Silence stretched out like a long dark road. Lisa could feel her heart beating so hard that she thought it might break through her chest. Then the Dragon Queen spoke again. "You are lying." Lisa looked up. "I am telling you what happened." "No." Velthora stood up from her throne. She was so tall that she had to bend her head to avoid the ceiling. She walked toward Lisa, each step making the floor shake. "You are telling me what you wish had happened. I can smell lies, human. Your whole body is screaming that you are not telling the truth." Lisa did not know what to say. She just stood there as the Dragon Queen came closer and closer. "You are trying to take the blame for someone else," Velthora said. She was right in front of Lisa now, looking down at her like a mountain looking down at a pebble. "Someone you care about. Someone from the crew of that ship." Lisa stayed silent. Her plan had failed. The Dragon Queen was too smart. Interesting. Velthra turned away and walked back toward her throne. Her claws clicked against the stone floor. Most species in the galaxy would throw their own family into the fire to save themselves. I have seen it happen 1,000 times. When death comes, people show their true faces. They become selfish and cruel. She sat back down and looked at Lisa with those burning eyes. But you humans are different. You came here knowing I might kill you. You tried to take the blame for people you barely know. You walked into the den of the dragon and offered yourself as a sacrifice. Lisa found her voice. The crew of the Wanderer are good people. They do not deserve to die. Perhaps not. But someone touched my armor. Someone broke my sacred laws. Your laws that say it is right to keep slaves? Your laws that say children can be worked to death in mines? The words came out before Lisa could stop them. For a moment, she thought the Dragon Queen was going to kill her right there. Velthra's eyes flashed with fire, and her claws dug into the arms of her throne. But then something strange happened. The fire in the Queen's eyes went out. She just looked tired. You know about the children, Velthra said. It was not a question. I know that the crew of the Wanderer saved 17 young lives. I know that those children would have died if not for what my people did. And I know that if doing the right thing is a crime in your empire, then maybe your empire's laws need to change. Lisa waited for death. She waited for fire and claws and pain. Instead, the Dragon Queen laughed. It was not the grinding rocks laugh from before. It was softer, almost sad. You have courage, little human. More courage than warriors twice your size. Velthra waved one clawed hand. Go back to your leaders. Tell them I will think about what you have said. I will give my answer within the hour. Lisa bowed and turned to leave. At the door, she stopped and looked back. What happens now? She asked. The Dragon Queen did not answer. She just sat on her throne, staring at nothing, lost in thoughts that were 10,000 years old. Lisa walked out into the night. Above her, the stars burned cold and distant. Among them, somewhere, was a fleet of ships that could end all life on Earth. 1 hour. That was all she had. She got into her car and drove back to the council building. Her hands were shaking on the wheel, but her heart was strangely calm. She had done everything she could. Now all she could do was wait for the Dragon Queen to decide the fate of a world. 1 hour became 2. 2 hours became 3. Lisa paced back and forth in the council chamber, ignoring the stares and whispers from everyone around her. She had told them what she did at the Draconari embassy. Some were angry. Some were scared. Some thought she was the bravest person they had ever met. Lisa did not care what any of them thought. She only cared about one thing. What would the Dragon Queen decide? The screens on the walls showed the Draconari fleet. 100 ships, each one a weapon of destruction. They floated in the darkness of space like sleeping monsters. Their guns were still glowing, ready to fire at any moment. Maybe she's just making us wait on purpose, General Shaw said. His voice was rough with stress. Maybe this is all a game to her. The Draconari do not play games, said Dr. Natalie Warren. She had been brought from the holding cells to help explain what they knew about the aliens. When they say they will do something, they do it. Velthra is thinking. That is good. If she had already made up her mind to destroy us, we would already be dead. 3 hours turned into 4. People started to lose hope. Some of them cried quietly in corners. Some just stared at nothing, their faces empty. Then the doors of the council chamber opened. The Dragon Queen walked in. She was alone this time. No warriors. No guards. Just her, a giant being of scales and fire, walking into a room full of tiny humans. She moved slowly, her golden eyes looking at everything and everyone. "I have made my inquiries," Valthera said. Her voice filled the room like the sound of a distant storm. "I have looked at your records, your communications, your sensor readings. I have put together the pieces of this puzzle." Everyone held their breath. Commander Harper was not the one who touched my armor. The Dragon Queen looked at Lisa. She was never on Keth 4. Her confession was a lie, told to protect others. Lisa felt her heart sink. Her plan had truly failed. "However," Valthera continued, "my investigation showed me something much more interesting. The person who entered my chambers did not do it to steal from me. They did not do it to insult me. They did it to create a distraction." She turned to look at the whole room. "The crew of your small ship smuggled 17 children off my station. Children who belonged to the Draconari Empire. Slaves who were meant to work in our mines." General Shaw stepped forward. His face was pale. "Your Majesty, we did not know about this. The government of Earth had nothing to do with what happened." Silence. The word cut through the air like a blade. "I did not come here to listen to excuses. I came here to tell you what I have learned." The Dragon Queen walked to the windows. Outside, the city of Washington spread out below them, full of lights and life. Millions of people going about their evening, not knowing that their fate was being decided in this room. 10,000 years ago," Valthera said quietly, "my people were slaves." The room went completely still. "Did you know this? It is not something we talk about. It is not something we are proud of." The Dragon Queen's voice was distant, like she was speaking from far away. "We served a species called the Korvathi. They were cruel beyond anything you can imagine. They worked my ancestors to death in their foundries. They bred us like animals and killed us when there were too many." She turned back to face the room. "We rose against them. It took 200 years, but we fought back. We burned their cities. We destroyed their fleets. We wrote our freedom in their blood." Her eyes blazed with ancient fire. "When the last Korvathi died, we made a promise. We would never be slaves again. We would become so powerful that no one could ever hurt us." Her voice dropped, becoming sad. "What we forgot was that we should never become slavers ourselves." Lisa felt something strange happening in her chest. It took her a moment to realize what it was. Hope. "The children your crew saved were innocent," Valthera continued. "They had done nothing wrong. They were simply born to a species we had conquered, and we condemned them to suffering because of it." She shook her head slowly. "This is not justice. This is not strength. This is the same cruelty we once fought to escape." "Your Majesty," Secretary General Lane said carefully, "does this mean you will spare Earth?" The Dragon Queen looked at her for a long moment. "I will not destroy your world for the crime of compassion. I will not punish the crew of the Wanderer for choosing mercy over obedience." Relief flooded through the room like a wave. People laughed. People cried. Some fell to their knees. "But," Valthera said, and everyone went quiet again, "there is still the matter of my armor. It was touched without permission. Our sacred traditions say this offense must be addressed." She walked toward Lisa. Each step she took made the floor shake. When she stopped, she was standing right in front of the human woman, looking down at her like a giant looking at a child. Commander Harper offered to take the blame for something she did not do. She was willing to die to protect people she barely knew. The Dragon Queen's voice became soft, almost gentle. "Among my people, we have a word for such individuals. We call them Kethvan. It means fire-blooded. It describes someone whose courage burns brighter than any flame." Lisa did not know what to say. She just stood there, looking up at the ancient being who held the fate of her world in her claws. "I would hear your full name," Valthera said. "Your complete name, as your own people would speak it. Lisa Marie Harper. The Dragon Queen repeated it slowly, like she was tasting each sound. Lisa Marie Harper. You shame warriors twice your size and 10 times your age. If you have been born as one of my people, songs would be written about you. She reached up to her own neck. There was something there, something Lisa had not noticed before. A pendant made of black stone with lines of gold running through it. Velthra unclasped it and held it out. This is the mark of the Kethvon. There are fewer than 100 beings in all the galaxy who carry it. From this day forward, you are one of them. Lisa took the pendant with shaking hands. It was warm, like it had been sitting next to a fire. I do not understand. What about the offense against your armor? It is forgiven. Velthra's eyes seemed to smile, even though her face did not change. Consider it the price of a lesson I should have learned long ago. My people have grown proud in our power. We have forgotten what it means to be small and afraid and brave all at the same time. She turned to look at everyone in the room. The generals and diplomats, the scientists and soldiers. You humans are young. You have only been traveling among the stars for a very short time. You have much to learn about the dangers that wait in the darkness. Her voice grew stronger. But you have something that many older races have lost. You have a fire in your hearts. You fight for strangers. You give your lives for the weak. You stand against tyrants even when you have no hope of winning. The Dragon Queen walked back to the center of the room. The Draconari Empire would like to offer your world a different kind of relationship. Not conquest, not domination, but alliance, partnership. She extended one great clawed hand toward Secretary General Lane. What do you say, little ones? Will you walk beside the dragons? The room was silent for a long moment. Lisa looked at the people around her. She saw hope in their eyes. She saw fear. She saw wonder. Secretary General Lane stepped forward. She was so much smaller than the Dragon Queen that she looked like a child standing next to a giant. But her voice was strong and clear. On behalf of the people of Earth, she said, we accept. She reached out and took the Dragon Queen's claw, and in that moment, everything changed. 6 months passed. Lisa Harper stood on the observation deck of the new space station being built in Earth's orbit. Through the big windows, she could see the skeleton of the station taking shape. Giant beams of metal stretched out in all directions. Thousands of workers moved across the structure, some human, some Draconari. Together, they were building something that neither species could have made alone. It is beautiful, is it not? Captain Daniel Perry walked up beside her. He was holding a cup of coffee, the steam rising from it in the cold air. Hard to believe this all started because we broke some rules. Lisa smiled. Some rules need to be broken. The treaty between Earth and the Draconari Empire had been signed within weeks of that night in Washington. It was a simple agreement at its heart. Earth would remain free and independent, but would have access to technology and trade routes that might have taken hundreds of years to find on their own. In return, humanity had agreed to do something no other species had ever done. They would become advisors to the Empire. They would help the Draconari become better. It was a strange job for such a young species. But Velthra had insisted. You see things we have forgotten how to see, she had said during the signing ceremony. You feel things we have taught ourselves not to feel. Your hearts are still soft enough to bend without breaking. The 17 children that the Wanderer's crew had saved were the first of many. Word had spread across the galaxy about what happened. The story changed as it traveled, the way stories always do. But the heart of it stayed the same. A small human crew had risked everything to save children from slavery. And when their whole world was threatened because of it, they refused to betray each other. Slave revolts started breaking out on Draconari worlds. Species that had been conquered for thousands of years began to stand up and demand their freedom. Some of these revolts were crushed, but others succeeded. And each success made the next one more likely. The empire was changing. Slowly, painfully, but it was changing. "I heard that Dr. Warren is going to Draken Prime," Perry said. "She is setting up the first human embassy there. She will be good at it. She understands them better than most of us." And Gregory Cole got promoted. He's the chief engineer on the first human battle cruiser. Can you believe that? The kid who used to spill coffee on his own shoes is now building warships. Lisa laughed. He has grown up a lot in 6 months. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the construction crews move across the station like ants building a hill. In the distance, a Draconari cruiser drifted past, its golden hull catching the light of the sun. "What about you?" Perry asked. "What comes next for the great Lisa Harper, hero of Earth, bearer of the Kethva mark?" Lisa touched the pendant at her throat. She still was not used to wearing it. Sometimes she forgot it was there, and then she would catch sight of it in a mirror and remember everything that had happened. The fear, the hope, the moment when she walked into the dragon's den and offered her life for people she barely knew. "I have been offered a position," she said. "The Draconari want me to help train their young officers. They want them to learn how humans think. That is a big job." It is. It is. "I have not decided if I will take it yet." Perry nodded. He did not push. That was one of the things Lisa liked about him. He knew when to be quiet. A shuttle approached the station, its lights blinking in the darkness. Lisa could see humans and Draconari sitting together in the passenger section. 6 months ago, that would have been impossible to imagine. Now it was just normal. "Do you ever think about what would have happened?" Perry asked quietly. If Velthera had decided differently that night, if she had just given the order to attack. Lisa did think about it. She thought about it more than she would ever admit. In her dreams sometimes, she saw the Draconari fleet opening fire. She saw cities burning. She saw everyone she loved turning to ash dot. But then she would wake up, and the sun would be shining, and children would be laughing in the streets, and she would remember that they had made it. Against all the odds, they had made it. "I think about it," she said, "but I try not to think about it too much. We cannot change what might have happened. We can only change what happens next." Barry raised his coffee cup. "I will drink to that." They watched the shuttle dock at the station. The doors opened, and passengers started walking out. Among them was a group of young beings with silver skin and eyes like the night sky. They looked around at everything with wonder on their faces, pointing at the stars and talking excitedly in a language Lisa did not understand. "Are those?" Perry started. "Yes." Lisa felt something warm spread through her chest. "Those are some of the children we saved. They asked to visit Earth. Velthera arranged it as a gift." One of the children, a small girl with big dark eyes, saw Lisa watching. She smiled and waved. It was a simple gesture, but it meant everything. It meant that all of this had been worth it. Lisa waved back. "Come on," she said to Perry. "Let us go meet them." They walked toward the docking bay. Around them, the station hummed with life and energy. Humans and Draconari worked side by side, building something new, something that had never existed before. The galaxy was a big place, full of wonders and dangers. There were empires out there that made the Draconari look gentle. There were species that had been old when Earth's sun was young. There were threats that no one could even imagine. But for the first time, humanity would not face them alone. Lisa thought about what Velthera had said that night in Washington. "Will you walk beside the dragons?" They had said yes. And now, whatever came next, they would face it together as allies, as equals. As friends, the small girl with silver skin ran up to Lisa and threw her arms around her legs in a hug. She said something in her own language, her voice full of joy. Lisa did not need a translator to understand. Some things went beyond words. Thank you for being kind. Lisa knelt down and hugged the child back. Over the girl's shoulder, she could see the stars stretching out forever. So many worlds. So many possibilities. This was just the beginning. The story of humanity among the stars was only starting to be written. There would be hard times ahead. There would be challenges and dangers and moments when everything seemed lost. But there would also be moments like this. Moments of connection. Moments of hope. Moments when strangers became friends and enemies became allies. And the universe seemed a little less cold and dark. Lisa stood up, still holding the little girl's hand. Perry was smiling at her. The Draconari shuttle crew was unloading supplies. The station construction continued around them. Everything was moving forward. The Dragon Queen had demanded to know who touched her armor. Only one mortal had stepped forward. And in doing so, she had changed the fate of worlds. Not through strength. Not through weapons. Not through power. Through courage. Through compassion. Through the simple belief that doing the right thing was always worth the risk. That was the human way. That was what made them special. And now, walking beside dragons, reaching for the stars, they would show the whole galaxy what that really meant. The end.